Hello, Global Gladiators. Today's episode, we're going to be herding cats in the stage called Compromise for Street Master's Rise of the Kingdom. This stage doesn't need a whole lot of explanation, and we're not going to go into a lot of the cards because only two really matter, and those are the ones that come up at the very beginning. The main thought to keep in mind is you're going to have a bunch of panicked people that for some reason need to get to the conference table at the very center of the room. I'm not sure what's at the center, but it makes them all feel very, very safe. My guess it's going to be one of those 6-foot sandwiches, and they just want to get that and some birthday cake, and everything will be fine with the rest of their 9 to 5. During the whole thing, of course, we're going to have some enemy attacking and shooting up the office, but as long as there's cake, everything should be fine. We're going to start placing tokens with the loot crates, putting them on the icons, just like we do all the time. And then we're going to look at the stage condition to find out if the objectives are going to be in play at the beginning and if they're going to be active or inactive. It looks like our objectives are going to be scared staff. They must not have gotten cake or are afraid it's going to run out. We're going to pick one for each fighter for the look of it, and then the rest will stay in the deck. This tells us that they're going to not all be in place at the same time at the beginning, and it's only going to be the placement of the ones that we want. So let's take a quick look at those scared staff cards. We'll come back and look at the armed intruder cards, which also have to be in place according to these instructions. One thing to note here is that it has a health of 5 and it can do 2 damage, but it's not a fighter. It's supposed to move around the board during its activation phase, but is moving away from the nearest enemy. So this means that we kind of have to figure out where we want to place things. Since the stage doesn't tell us that it specifically has to be randomized, we can pick any color that we want for these objectives. I would suggest picking the red and the purple in the first two that you can pick. If you have a 4-player game, then green, either blue or yellow, it's not going to matter. But you know the boss's location is on the right hand side of the board, so if he's the closest enemy, then they'll move away from him and they're going to move towards the middle. As long as you have your spawns on one side of the board, they have the opportunity to move towards those safe spaces. If the yellow, blue, or green objective tokens are reacting to the boss, they're going to continue to move in that same path towards the left-hand side of the board, and they'll never move towards the safe spaces. So your best bet, try to use those two, and the two spawn points closest to the boss are the ones that you're going to want the enemies to spawn into during your threat phase. The reason why the early placement is so important is because of armed intruders. The scared staff can only be defeated 3 times and you lose the stage. Those enemies are going to move forward 3 and the objective tokens are only going to move 2, so they're going to catch up pretty quickly. You need to be on top of it and defeating enemies as quickly as possible. The boss counts as one of these enemies, so you're going to have to do everything in your power to hold him into some engagement with one of the fighters, while the other fighter stacks up defense tokens and spends them on the objective tokens. Once they reach the safe space, you spend 3 or however many you need to defensive tokens and your action, and they go away. They get shuffled back into the deck, however, so you're going to have to constantly keep track of where those scared or hungry or however you want to set up the stage people are that are running towards that conference table. One thing you may have noticed on these cards, especially the stage rules, is they look a little bit different than what you have. The reason for this is errata was put out to make the stage easier to read and easier to set up. So this is the latest version of those rules as of September 2018. You can get those errata sheets from the Facebook page in the files section. You can go to the Blacklist website and look for it there, or the Board Game Geek website and look for it in the files section under Street Masters. Some of this may change also in the Aftershock expansion. The Sadlers have said that they are going to be including some of these errata stuff if you already own a copy, or if you somehow manage to get an early copy and it looks different for you. But I believe the files that I made to print onto my own card sleeves are available also in the Board Game Geek file section, so you can just print them out already formatted for your cards. So we're going to set everything back up the way it would belong if we're just starting out the game. One thing to note, the armed intruders are going to act first, and then the objective tokens would take their actions. So here we're going to have the fighters move. They're going to do whatever they need to do. Try to engage the minions as best you can. If they are engaged, they don't move. So that's in the rule book. You can look it up. It's also on the player aid. That is also in the Board Game Geek file section. It's very helpful. I put up a few other things like 3D printable token holders and card holders and other stuff like that. So utilize that section. There's lots of interesting things in there. There's a checklist, ways to get through your story mode, random scenario generators, all kinds of cool stuff. So the fighters are going to take their turn. They're going to move up. They're going to hold because they're engaged. Now the objective tokens can run behind the fighters and get closer to the safe space. This also makes it easier for you to run back towards the objective tokens to dump off the amount of defense tokens that are required to pay the toll for their pizza party or cake or sandwich or whatever they're running for. This strategy should make it easier for you to herd the objective tokens. However, they are going to continue to appear as you move through the stage deck. That means you're going to have to very likely change the position that you're aiming the tokens from. When the blue and the yellow or the green come in, you're going to have to move down towards them in order to push them away from the edge of the board and towards the center again. This is going to take a few turns to get used to. You're still going to have the boss to manipulate, but I think you'll be okay with just that information. Give it a shot, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and otherwise have a good one.